Hello, everyone. Good evening. It's a pleasure for us joining you here today. I'm Spyros. I'm an experienced architect in UBITECH.
And hi from me, I'm Kostas. I'm an architect and tech lead for the GAIA platform. The last few decades, Spyros and I have worked on designing and building different kinds of software systems, putting the user always in the center and making sure that the software serves the user and not the other way around.
Over those decades, our expectations as users grow from a simple command interface to graphic user interface, to the web, to the mobile, and now to software that is able to understand, collaborate, and co-create with us. Welcome to the AI system era.
So this diagram shows a modern AI system. At the center of such a system, we have now agents. The purpose of an agent, is to serve a request. The request can be a question, or it can be a task to be performed. The request might come from an end user, from a human being, or might come from another agent in more complex agentic architectures. In order for the agent to serve the request, it has to, first of all, it needs AI, so it needs an AI model, maybe more than one. Not only LLMs, now we have models that generate images, videos, audio, music, and so on. But in order, apart from the model, it needs also some context. The context comes from data sources, like databases, files, and so on, but also comes from other systems, like ERPs, CRMs. Today, many of those software systems, let's say traditional systems, have already incorporated some AI elements. So some of them, apart from the traditional APIs, they also expose agents. Now, in order for this system to operate smoothly and deliver to the end users the experience we're expecting to deliver, we need something to keep everything together. This something is an environment for the agents to work on, to operate in. It should provide tools for them to be able to integrate with all those sources, but also generate user interface components and whatever the interaction with the user is across different kinds of channels. It's not only chatbots, it can be voice, it can be emails, it can be messages like SMS, Viber, WhatsApp, and so on. And it also needs to give us control on the operation of the whole system. So it needs to work as a kind of a control tower so that we always have control on what's happening inside. So this environment, set of tools, and control tower is what the GAIA platform we have built in UBITECH is all about.
More than just a platform and a control tower that decides which model should be called, how many times should be called, which tool to be used, how the context will flow. It's also a methodology. It's something Kostas and I have been practicing for many years, how to develop software that delivers. And we will gladly share our experience with you today about specifically how we make AI systems.
So the platform and the methodology are based on three pillars. The first one we call glass box is about transparency. We need to know what happens inside the box. What resources, what context the AI is using to serve its request, and how it utilizes those resources to produce a response and serve the request. The second pillar is co-develop, together with our partners and customers. Every one of those stakeholders has access to the inside the box, so that they can see how it's being built, but also they are able to contribute in the development. And finally, we have governance, the third pillar, which is basically about control. It's about putting the platform inside the cloud infrastructure of the customer so that they have full control of the resources. They can see the database, the application servers, all the components. But it's also about taking care of security and making sure that the models behave as expected.
So our methodology is more or less a continuous iterative process that I'm pretty sure most of you are familiar here. We're not going to go into the detail, but it's plan, it's explore, it's develop, evaluate. Govern starts from day one, and at some point there is a release of the version. Actually, what we do is we come from the startup world, where we learn the value of MVP, most viable product. So what we do internally and with our clients is to keep a very basic version that will maximize the delivery to the end users and the stakeholders. And therefore, we're keeping small iterative circles, and we are also minimizing the complexity of planning.
So let's go through the 4 stages. This is an iterative process. And through those stages, we're also going to see some of the tools that the platform provides. So in the first stage, we have planning. It's the planning phase we used to follow in traditional software. There are a few differences. For example, in AI, we care about the cost of using the AI models, and security and is a different story here because we need to control non-deterministic systems. Now, in the next stage, which is the explore, the goal is to find the right combination of models, data sources, instructions to the models, and metrics to measure their performance to achieve the goals that were set in the planning phase. One of the tools provided by the platform is where we put together the architecture of the agents. This is one example. It can be wider, it can be deeper. There is normally an orchestrator that decides which sub-agent will serve the request. And we also have the data model where we define on where the responses of the AI will be grounded. It's not only about defining the model so that the AI can understand the structure of the data it's going to base its responses to, but it's also about defining the way these data come from their sources and being transformed to take the final form that is what the AI expects to serve the requests.
While these guys are exploring the data, I explore the conversational interaction and how it can become an intuitive experience. So basically, there are 4 qualities: clarity, utility, trust, and personality. We need clarity. That's the value that makes everything for everyone to follow. And then we need utility. It needs to be purposeful. The user needs to accomplish some goals. Obviously, we need trust. Can you imagine if you were having a conversation with someone that we wouldn't trust? A waste of time, right? And personality is actually what will bring engagement and warmth to the conversation. So according to the communication studies, is actually very important. And how I approach this, it's very simple. So I start from the user persona. That might be data that have been given to me from the client, or I just might go out and do research on my own or second-hand research. The key is to build empathy, is to understand the behavior of the user, the intentions, what he's trying to accomplish. And once I become that user persona, then I start to figure out the middle part. What's the ideal conversation for me would like. And once I got that, then I actually start thinking how the AI will act and behave and what constraints is needed.
So once we are past the exploration stage, the next one is the develop. It's the stage where we actually build everything. So it's the stage where we define precisely the behavior, which agents we are going to use, what their behavior is going to be, and also do the tests that are required to make sure that we comply to the requirements.
So to build a unique conversation, a build experience, actually, you need a unique conversation, which is you have a unique user persona with his needs and intentions and expectations, and you need that unique conversation. And so how would I approach how to design the mindset of the AI to provide that experience? And basically, it has 6 dimensions: purpose, persona, tone of voice, behavior, strategy, and special cases. And just to make it easier for you to understand, let's use an example. Let's say we're making a customer support assistant. So the purpose is employees often have ambiguity about policies or processes. So the purpose is to remove that ambiguity from the employees and help them to understand and answer their inquiries, not to replace HR, but to assist HR, to reduce cognitive load effort from the HR in dealing with these inquiries. And let's say that the tone of voice is going to be affirmative, professional, is not going to always be that cheerful ChatGPT. We need to provide the right information. The employee must feel that if I do what I've been told, it's going to be right. So it's going to be a bit strict. So maybe as a persona, we can go like a digital employee of the HR department, but let's make it female. So when we add voice, it will sounds less strict. And I already covered some of the behavior that is not going to break character, it's going to be strict. And then we have strategy. How we'll handle each inquiry. It's not only the inquiry is the same. Some users like simple answers, some others like longer, more detailed. So then I will write there the logic for each case. And special cases, let's say that it's something that the assistant cannot help with, or it's too serious to be handled by an AI, so it needs a human in the loop. So that's the dimensions I work on, and the best part is that I do it in plain English. I literally write all this logic and all this mindset just using, well, not coding, basically. All I'm seeing is input fields. Well, not all I'm seeing. Kostas will explain you what's behind those.
So this is part of the glass box we mentioned previously. There are no hidden prompts. Some providers have hidden prompts that the customers cannot see. There is nothing like that in GAIA. Everything that we write in terms of instructions, the client can see and modify, of course. In this screenshot, we see the editor where we write the prompts, but there are also at the top multiple tabs for the different aspects of an agent, including the tools with which it integrates with other systems, or maybe the internal tools, but also things like voice configuration, where we can choose the voice, the tone of voice, and so on, when we have voice conversations. This is another tool where we can see all the discussions taking place between the user, the end user, and the AI across all channels. So if it's a voice conversation, we can see, of course, the transcripts. We use it during the development, but also afterwards when we need to monitor the actual conversations happening by the actual users. Now, when we look at a particular conversation, we have additional facilities so that we can see what happened between the user question and the model response, what tools it used, what parameters it passed, what was the actual response, so we can verify the grounding of the responses and make sure that it didn't hallucinate, but everything it included in its response was based on the data and the instructions we provided. And also you can see here that we can have user interface components inside. The final stage is the evaluation stage, where what we do is we record a set of conversations that we believe that the responses of the model are the right ones. And then we consider this as a baseline. And then as we change things and we start testing and retesting, we automate running those conversations by the platform, and we compare actually the new run with the baseline. And we have different kinds of tools for making error analysis and statistical analysis of the result, so that we don't have a human trying to compare each conversation, because there might be hundreds or maybe 1,000 of them. So we have the system doing that. Of course, we have a dashboard. We have some basic metrics. It can be augmented by custom ones based on the project, where we can see many things, including the cost, how much each conversation costs, for example, so that we can adjust the instructions of the model so that it is within budget of the customer. There are 3 things to remember. One thing is that building an AI system is a deliberate process. It's not magic. It requires a lot of work. The platform makes sure that we don't start from zero. The second one is that everything needs an orchestration, because we have different kinds of components and the system is very complex, so we need an orchestration. And finally, as part of governance, we need to stay in control, and we don't need black boxes that we don't know what happens inside them. Thank you.
Thank you.